This week on the Analog Circle podcast, is the PlayStation 5 having overheating issues? Bethesda will not have a gaming showcase this year. Oh gosh, this is bad news. We get more information about Gamescom 2020. Mafia 2 is getting a definitive edition? What? And The Last of Us Part 2 has been delayed. All of these stories and quite a few more in episode 122 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I want to welcome you guys into the circle. Gather around, my friends, gather around. We're going to have a good time this week. We got quite a few things to discuss, and I am so happy to be here with you guys. And I truly appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy day to spend some time with me. So I tell you guys, before we get into, and you guys know this that listen every week, before we get into the feedback section, I want to let you guys know that if you want to check out the podcast on other platforms, you can find it over on SoundCloud. You can find it over on YouTube, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, as well as various other places. Just type in the Analog Circle podcast and it's going to pop up on your feed, brother. It's just that simple. Now, I tell you, I got into a lot of games this week. I'm definitely going to get into that. But before I get into that, like I just alluded to, let's go ahead and get into my favorite section of the podcast. And it is no doubt the feedback section. Now, if you, the listener out there, want to be part of this discussion, part of this part of the show, you can do that two different ways, my brother or sister. You can either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard, god dog it. That's right. Or you can email the show, and the email address is, of course, my brothers and sisters, the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Now, I want to go ahead and jump right into my guy, Free Fly Ferret. What's going on, my brother? I want to jump into your email first. Now, the title of his email is, "'Twas the night before console launch." Oh, I like this. I like this title. He says, "My brother, with all this craziness going on and having been reading all the news on both consoles lately, it got me thinking. This Christmas, regardless of your console preference, is going to be awesome. We're truly blessed to have gaming where it is now." I couldn't agree with that more, brother. He says, "What an exciting future. Who knows? With all these developers locked up at home, perhaps their minds will wander to incredible new worlds and ideas." Free Fly Ferret, brother, thank you for this email, and I have to 100% agree with you, brother. This holiday season is going to be grand. It is going to be great. I understand that, and we're going to go over this in the gaming news section of the podcast, but I understand some games aren't hitting their targets. It's making people question, a lot of different things about what's going on. And matter of fact, I know you saw it in the title. We're definitely going to talk about delays, but the fact is, this year, we have the next generation starting. Is that the 9th generation? Man, I might have just put my foot in my mouth, but I think we're going into the 9th generation. Correct me if I'm wrong. But having a PlayStation 5 out there, having the Series X out there, these consoles being able to perform, at least at the moment, at high settings on PC or very, very close to it is absolutely a true next generation leap, and it's something that we should all be excited for, no matter which side you're on. Just like you said, Free Fly Ferret, you can be on, Team Xbox, you can be Team PlayStation, you can be Team Nintendo, or you can be neutral and get them all and enjoy them. But either way, it is a fantastic time. There's so many great games coming out, new IPs with these new consoles. We're all hopeful that new IPs are going to be shown. I know it's going to be new ones eventually. May take some time, but it's definitely a very exciting time. It's something I'm looking forward to getting the box, even though the quantities of these new consoles, it may be limited, may be very, very hard to get, but eventually, just like every console generation, it'll be enough circulating around where we can all get one, bring the box home, and have that new console smell fresh out the box. It's always an exciting time to be able to have that new console smell, setting it up, looking at the new graphics or just the new menus that they have. And then, Free Fly Ferret, I gotta say once again, this is just gonna be it's going to be a great year because for the first time with Microsoft, I can't speak for Sony yet. We don't know what their plans are, but I'm sure they're going to follow suit. But like you said, Free Fly Ferret, it's going to be a great year. Microsoft, they have that delivery system in the Xbox Series X where your older games are going to get potential boosts, a higher resolution, better frame rates, faster load times. It's going to be fantastic. So those are the things that I'm looking forward to, Free Fly Ferret, that make me feel the same way that you feel, man, that the holiday season is going to be fantastic no matter which side of the fence you're on. And Free Fly Ferret, just like I tell you, brother, I really, really appreciate this. It means so much when you write in. Shout out to Alice. What's going on? It's always appreciated, brother. Thank you for taking the time out to write in. I know you guys don't have to do that, but it truly means so much to me, man. So thank you so much, Free Fly Ferret, and don't let it be your last time, brother. Now, I want to move into the next email, and it comes from no other than Mr. Cody Clark. Shout out to you, brother. Now, the name of his email is "These Parts Are More Than Their Sum." Now, Cody's email reads as follows. He says, "I can't say that I think Sony or Microsoft or any hardware maker is ever 100% honest or transparent with the information they hand out. Even the best of the best tend to hold their cards close to themselves. So do I think Sony is pulling our leg with the hardware specs? No, because if they flat lie, they could get fined by the FTC. Okay. So no clue. We will know in a year or so how much smoke they blew up our you-know-what." Cody Clark, I kind of botched your email there a little bit, brother. My bad, man. Definitely apologize for the botching of it. But hey, listen, brother. Hey, this is why I say this all the time. It's so important to hear from you brothers, man. Brothers and sisters, y'all can write in or, voicemail too. Feel free. But it's great to hear from y'all because y'all teach me stuff that I don't know. I didn't know this, Cody, that the FTC could actually fine them. I had no idea. So, like Cody said, he doesn't think that Sony is necessarily blowing smoke up our tuchus. He doesn't think that's the case, but he brought up a very good point when he said that we will know in a year, how much they possibly, if it is true, that they, kind of blew out there and kind of, might have fuddled the truth a little bit, so I couldn't agree more. But Cody, as always, man, I truly thank you for the emails. You always dropping gems on me, brother. And I can't thank you enough, man. I hope all is well. And please continue to write in. It truly means so much to me, man. Thank you very, very, very much, Cody. This is going to be interesting because I tell you, I almost was finished with your email, but I just got to circle back around just one more time because it's going to come down to, if the ray tracing is going to be as good, if the frame rate is going to stay steady. I mean, there's so many things when you're comparing two different consoles to each other. You guys remember that the Xbox One was getting killed because it was like 900p, some crazy whacked out a resolution, and the PlayStation was 1080p. And we know once again that if as long as doggone Digital Foundry it has some daggone breath in their lungs, they gonna get to the bottom of it. So Cody, you are absolutely right, brother. Give us some time. We will definitely see what the real truth is in the coming months. So thanks again, brother. I really, really appreciate it, man. Now let's go ahead and move into our final person in the feedback section, and it is no other than Mr. Vaughn, who I must say, I believe this is your 9th voicemail, brother. This is something else, man. So I truly appreciate it, and I don't want to talk too much because I get long-winded. So Mr. Vaughn, you are up at bat, my brother.
What's going on, Kiaun? It's your boy Vaughn checking in once again this week. Just wanted to check in with you and go over a couple things. We got a lot of games that are being remade. We just got word this week. I know you're going to talk about Nintendo making Mario games. We had the Final Fantasy remake coming out, 7 remake coming out, of course. Modern Warfare 2 getting remade. That looks good. So my question to you this week is, what game, old school game or any game that was a favorite of yours, would you like to see get that remake? Since that's the new hotness right now, it's taking the game and remaking it with the same assets. For me, I'm going to go ahead and throw in 2 of my old school favorites. I love the Legacy of Kain Blood Omen, the very first Legacy of Kain game, where he had all these powers that you gained throughout the game, where you could turn into a wolf, turn into a human, turn into mist. That was a dope game. Love that. I would like to see that get a remake. And Jade Empire. I think that would be a fantastic remake for BioWare if they were to do that. All right, that's it for me this week. I think as we get closer to the holiday season, it's going to get crazier. I think this whole console war thing is going to be more of a war of perception more than who has the strongest or the most powerful system. And when I say perception, I mean, let's say, for example, Xbox comes out, announces the price for the Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5 is going to announce theirs, then it's going to look like, oh, snap, PS5. Then they're going to, what's that next box that the Xbox has? They're going to drop the price lower than the PS5. And so it's kind of going to go back and forth. It's just going to be a war of perception, If Xbox comes out first with their system and Sony delays, it's going to make it look like Xbox is better. And it really is all going to be the same. It's just a perception war. That's what it's going to come down to. But that's for me. Everybody stay safe. Shout out to the Analog Circle crew. Everybody stay safe. Play that stack of games that you got, that you bought, never opened, never touched. And I'm out. Peace.
Shout out to you, Vaughn. Hey, brother, that last part that you said about opening up the games that we bought and you having opening them up to finish them, brother, I had quite a few of those this week, man, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. But getting back to your voicemail, Vaughn, thank you, man. I appreciate it so much that you drop these lines on me. I look forward to hearing from you every week, and it's always great to, get these questions from you, brother. So this week, believe it or not, your question, it sounds like easy on paper, right? I mean, so many remakes are coming out. Which one would I like to see be remade? One of my favorites. Now, normally, this would be easy, but I had to go through quite a few different games. I mean, for instance, if I was to come off the top, and by the way, Jade Empire, That is a very, very good one. Similarly to Jade Empire, I would have gone with Couture. That would have been definitely one of the ones that I would have went with. But I wanted to try to spruce it up. Everybody wants a Knights of the Old Republic. So I didn't want to go with the regular answer. So I wanted to try to challenge myself. But then I started going through so many different games. Now, I will say though, Vaughn, just because it is coming out later on this weekend, it's been getting great reviews. Final Fantasy VII Remake would have definitely been a game that I would have wanted to see, but it's already here. And by the way, I did get some information about that. You listeners out there, for you guys that were wondering what the length is, the official length, GameSpot had actually said that the game, you can actually complete it in around 40 hours at a regular pace. But if you're doing the side missions, it'll pad it out to about 45 hours. So it's a pretty stacked game. But getting back to your point, not your point, but your question, Vaughn, I would have said Grand Theft Auto 3 or, San Andreas, but those are run-of-the-mill answers. So I started going through some things. I was like, well, Flashback. One of my all-time favorite games. Dolphin Software. If you guys have not heard of them, they were so ahead of the curve. I've talked about them before. Just the cinematics. These guys actually, for the first time outside of the first cutscene in the original Ninja Gaiden on the regular Nintendo, that opening scene where it looks so cinematic, they jump up in the air and they clash swords and Ryu's father dies in the field. It was amazing. Good gosh, just taking me way back, man. But I'll say Flashback, Dolphin Software. I would have loved to have gotten that remade, but we got a remake of it back on the 360. Then I said, well, shoot, what about Out of This World? Another amazing game by Dolphin Software. We didn't quite get a remake of that, an official remake, but they have remastered it once or twice. And I'm like, shoot, I would still like to see that happen. But then I started going further back into the catalog. I started thinking about the Genesis days. Then I was like, Last Battle. I don't know. I didn't know this till years later. I had Last Battle, and I didn't know that game was a doggone Fist of the North Star game back in the day when he did that thing with the fist, the 100 Fist Fury of Death, or whatever you call that thing on Fist of the North Star. Had no idea, but we have Fist of the North Star on the PlayStation 4 right now. I have it, and Vaughn is in the wrapper. I haven't opened it up yet. And then I thought Strider, they remade that. I'm like, God dang, I'm running out of stuff. Then I thought, okay, we're still in the Genesis era, Streets of Rage. Then I'm saying, oh shoot, a new Streets of Rage is coming out. So I started running out of ideas. I thought about Double Dragon. They've already done that. Bionic Commando has been done. They even redid DuckTales from the Nintendo era. I'm like, shucks, man. What else is there to really, look forward to? Then I went and thought about Golden Axe. They redid that. Splatterhouse from the TurboGrafx. They redid that. And I'm like, man, I am running out of stuff that they haven't remade. When you think about it, Vaughn, we have had so many remakes over the years. I didn't even realize it until you asked me this question. And it started getting harder and harder for me to really come up with a good answer. So, sticking with Sega, the only game at this point, at this moment, and I can only speak for where my mind is right now, Vaughn, I would have to say I was such a big fan of it. I know it's not going to be the popular answer, but for me, I would love to see another Jet Grind Radio because I was such a huge fan of that. And they even remastered that on the 360 now that I'm thinking about it. God dang. So I would, you know what? I would go with, I was such a huge, like I said, Jet Grind Radio. The first game I had ever seen with that graphical art style, the art style, cell shading. Sega was just phenomenal with that. So just sticking with that Jet Grind theme, I would like to see a jet grind radio future. And that's one that they haven't touched since 2002 back on the original Xbox. It would be fantastic if they could maybe bundle the two together, completely remaster them, but keep them in that cel-shaded style. I mean, I was such a huge fan of those games. They were wonderful, man. But Vaughn, I tell you, it was hard for me this week to come up with a good answer. Hopefully, like I said, I know it's not the most popular answer, but I would truly love to see that myself. But I do want to say that I think it's very interesting in your voicemail as well. Outside of that, where you said that you think that it's going to be about, and it's very interesting that you brought this up, that you think that next generation is going to be more about perception than actual power, or one console outperforming the other one. And I tell you, that to me, I think that carries a little bit of weight, because when I talk to other people, not all of my friends are, huge gamers. I have regular friends, well, all of them are regular, but, just friends that don't necessarily game heavy or, get into the news and all of that stuff. So they'll be like, well, man, I saw this commercial, like Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5. Some of my friends still thought that was a PlayStation exclusive. Actually, my cousin, he was like, man, I sure would like to play that Grand Theft Auto 5, but I think it's only on the PlayStation. I'm like, no, it's not. Another one of my friends thought that Call of Duty was only available on the PlayStation. And, we get these commercials, and the average person, it's just a casual, they're just looking at the commercials. They're taking them at face value. Like, well, shoot, if they're advertising on the PlayStation, it must just be available on the PlayStation. I would have never, ever believed that to be true until I heard several people saying that one game wasn't available on the other platform when these are third parties. So you bringing that up, Vaughn, is a very interesting point. And I do believe that, and Phil Spencer, he had a interview with IGN. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. But one thing he did say is they're going to be pushing their services. And one thing that they have right now that PlayStation doesn't is Game Pass. And if they can really market that to the average consumer, sell them on getting 100+ games every month for $10 a month, that could be a heck of a sales pitch. That could be something that could be looked at very, very positive on Microsoft's side. But Vaughn, brother, this was good, man. This is a good voicemail. I was about to say email. God dang, gotta pardon me, brother. I appreciated this, man. Thank you so much, Vaughn. And please, man, like I say, brother, every single week, don't let it be your last time. Feel free to write in again, brother. I love hearing from you. And shout out to everybody else. Shout out to you, Cody. Shout out to you, Free Fly Ferret, and the whole circle, and everyone that's listening right now. I truly, truly appreciate you guys. And actually, to show that, almost forgot, daggone. Last week, I could not find a PlayStation card. And I want to shout out to Mike J. Mike J told me, Kiaun, brother, you could have actually bought the card on the PlayStation or the Xbox. You can get the cards. I had no idea. I truly thought that it would automatically redeem it, so I was like, well, shucks, I'm a little nervous to do it, but I was able to actually find one, a $25 PlayStation Store card. So what I want to do is I want to give this code out to you guys, and whoever gets it, if you want to write in, feel free to let me know so I can shout you out. And hopefully you guys will use it to buy my friend Pedro or whatever it is. Just, me saying thank you to you guys. So get your pens ready. Get your crayons ready, shucks, man. Get your doggone phone ready to type something in, man. So here we go. The code is as follows. And I'm going to tell you, PlayStation codes are so much easier to read than Xboxes. So here it is. The code is KTHTPKN4B45G. Anybody out there, please feel free to use this. It's $25. Use it to whatever you want. I think PlayStation is having a spring sale right now. I know Microsoft is. Some dope games on there. And hopefully, it'll help you out, man. I just truly want to thank you guys again for tuning in. Just a small token of my appreciation, man. But outside of that, I want to talk about what I've been playing. Now, I'm not going to harp on it too much. I'm going to say a few words. But the first game that I played that was in my back catalog was Agents of Mayhem. I got to say, man, God dog, this game does have problems. It has a few issues. It's not a perfect game, but it is not a bad game. I would say if I had to score it right now, I would say that it's around, and don't let the score throw you off, but I would say it's about a 6.5, maybe a 6.75. It's not quite a 7 because it does have some issues with it where you're trying to move around the city. The navigation in the game is rough. Like you'll pin, you can't even pin mark where you're going. Actually, you have to just follow these different arrows on the ground. It's nothing we haven't seen. It's been in Grand Theft Auto. It's been in, various open world games. But the way it works is you can't actually pin where you want to go so you can go there. You got to follow these arrows and they get crossed up and crossed over. And then once you get to the actual area that you're supposed to be in, you get out the car or the vehicle and you got to run another 30, 40, 50 yards to get to where you're going to. It might be me nitpicking a little bit, but it's certain things like that man, it just makes it difficult to stay engaged in the game because you're like, okay, I'm supposed to be going over here, but it's not over here. I actually got to move over here. Then you get there sometimes, and then it splits off into two different cursors where you're like, man, well, which one do I follow to get to where I need to go to? And you follow the one, and it's the wrong one. It's taking you back to some previous spot or whatever. I mean, it's just the navigation. If the navigation in the game was better, it would have definitely bumped it up to a solid 7. But it is a fun game. It's not super graphically impressive or anything like that, but I think I got it for $15. It was well worth $15, and it's been pretty fun, man. But outside of Agents of Mayhem, I fired up, oh man, this other game, Sea of Solidus. That game is beautiful. I mean, it talks about, it's about mental health, and it's such an interesting take on it. It's kind of like Hellblade a little bit. That they're very similar, where the character will start, kind of tripping a little bit, but not quite to the level of Hellblade. I mean, Senua was hearing voices and all kind of stuff. But in Sea of Solitude, you can actually see the monsters and they're talking to you, they're berating you. I mean, they're beating you down and, with their words saying you're nothing and this, that, and the third. It's a very interesting game. It's a good game. It just has, my problem with it is the combat. You can't really fight off the enemies. You got to use this burst of light or something to try to lure the enemy over into the light, and that'll burn them up. Oh man, so much potential there, but it just misses the mark a little bit. It's a solid game. I would say it's a solid 7 to a 7.5 at the moment. I have quite a bit of time into it. It's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. I believe it's on sale right now for $12 on the Xbox spring sale. I could be wrong about that, but it's a game worth playing if you're into those kind of games. It's not bad. Graphically, it's beautiful. I love the art style of it. Definitely has a message in the game, and the story. It's a very, very interesting, very, very interesting storyline to go along with it. But then after I finished playing some of Sea of Solitude. I jumped back into a little bit of Ori and the Will of the Wisp. Man, that game is awesome. God dang. That game is fan-dag-ortastic, brothers. Had a great time with it, still playing it, making my way through it. It's been good though. But yeah, that's about all of the games I've been playing. I really have been having a little bit of time to really sit down and play, man. So it's been fantastic to have the time being home a little bit, to be able to relax a little bit and get into some of the backlog, as well as trying to play some of the current games like Ori. But that's about it for what I've been into. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead, man, because I'm excited for this, as I am every week. So let's go ahead and get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. So let's get started with some Nintendo news. So Obsidian Entertainment. Oh, and shout out to you too again, Vaughn. I had talked about the Mario games actually on the last episode, where they were saying that they were rumored to be making various remakes of them. So yeah, just check out that up. I'm sure you heard it, brother. Anyway, let me go ahead and get started with the news, man. So Obsidian Entertainment has finally given a release date for the Outer Worlds on the Nintendo Switch, which will be on June 5th. But when the game releases, it will be a 6 gigabyte patch that will need to be installed, which will aim to improve high-res texture quality, optimize gameplay, and some other fixes to improve the gameplay experience. Now, I tell you, this is this whole thing about Nintendo and Microsoft. We're going to talk about that. Obsidian, of course, has been bought up by Microsoft, and Phil Spencer, he talked to IGN this week. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But for Switch owners, getting back to the story at hand, for Switch owners that are interested, excuse me, in this game, just make sure that you mark out there June 5th is when the Outer Worlds will be released. And make sure you got at least 6 gigabytes of, memory card space to get that on to the mother lover. Now, let's go ahead and let's move on into some Gamescom. Oh, Gamescom. Let's get started with some of their news. So, Gamescom has become, it's become a pretty big event over the years, with some even saying, saying that it's even bigger than E3. I mean, the showroom floor is gigantic. But because of COVID-19, the organizers of the event claimed that they will be making a decision on if the event will go ahead as usual in Cologne, Germany in mid-May. And if the event does get canceled, people that have already booked tickets will receive a refund. Now, as far as the event status being regarded as a digital-only event, game marketing director Felix Falk stated, and I quote, "Millions of fans worldwide are excited about Gamescom 2020. That is why we are determined to celebrate the latest news, announcements, and world premieres together with the community. Again, this year at the end of August. In view of the corona crisis, we are now expanding all digital formats at full speed so that Gamescom 2020 can at least take place digitally in any case. We already reach millions of Gamescom fans worldwide with the global show, Gamescom Opening Night Live, and the Gamescom Now portal. Further expansion of our digital strategy is the way to go right now." End of quote. That was a mouthful. So as it stands, though, Gamescom is supposed to happen on August 25th through the 29th. Now, this is something else, because these guys are actually saying that, look, it's a possibility that the event, because of COVID-19, coronavirus, we just might not be able to have you guys there physically, but digitally, we can make it happen. We're going to do something. They're going to reassess things in May. And this is why, man, good grief, is so interesting this year with these different events, these big, huge events that people look forward to. Myself, gamers across the world look forward to seeing, and people being a part of them. Having this situation at hand with COVID-19, these guys are forced to think of different ways outside of the box to actually have these events. And once again, Gamescom is no different. They are pushing the digital strategy. He said it. That's the way to go right now. So it's going to be so interesting that will that vision, that hope of mine, that the games on the showroom floor, or would have been on these different showroom floors, could appear on our consoles. You get a digital Gamescom pass. I know it's a reach. I know it is, but this is the situation that we have at hand. So Gamescom, we're going to keep our eyes on it. It just may happen. It's going to be at the end of the summer, August 25th. So they definitely have time on their side. We'll just have to see what happens as that date gets closer and closer, just like we had to with E3. But let's go ahead and get into some quick news. Let's talk about Minecraft Dungeons. Now, it has been delayed from April to May 26. Now, the official statement from the official Minecraft Dungeons on Twitter says, and I quote, "Gather your friends and gear up for adventure. Minecraft Dungeons is coming out May 26 on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Windows, Xbox One, and Xbox Game Pass. Pre-order your copy now." End of quote. So this continues to be a trend. We all know one game that we're going to go over, which was huge, that got delayed. This is just where we're at right now, unfortunately. This is just something we got to deal with, these different delays. So Minecraft, at least it is still coming out May 26th. Just going to take a little bit of time. And I'll tell you, the game looks interesting. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination a fan of Minecraft, not even a tad bit. But I'll say that Dungeons does look at least kind of interesting, and plus it's on Game Pass, so people that might not have been interested in the game like myself, you will have an opportunity to play it, not for free, but under that service if you do have Game Pass. So let's go ahead and let's talk about Bethesda. So we got some bad news, god dang, and this comes from the Senior Vice President of Bethesda's Global Marketing and Communications, Pete Hines, who said in a Twitter post, and I quote, "Given the many challenges we're facing due to the pandemic, we will not host a digital showcase in June. We have lots of exciting things to share about our games and look forward to telling you more in the coming months." End of quote. God dang it. So Bethesda, I knew it was going to be a problem. I'm not going to say I knew, because everybody likes to say I knew it was going to be this and that after the fact. I'm not going to say I knew it, but it did make me question whether or not they were going to do an event when they had no comment, when Microsoft and Nintendo out there saying, hey, we're going to figure it out, we're going to do something. Bethesda was like, man, no comment, brother, no comment. So, we see right here, no digital event. Bethesda's basically pulling out. They're saying they have things to share with us. I was really hoping that we would have seen something on Starfield. This year starts the next console generation, and I remember, well, I can't remember. My what do you call it? My memory is very, very fuzzy on this, but I thought that Starfield was supposed to be being developed for this next generation of consoles that are coming up this holiday season. So I was figuring that 2020 Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 are releasing. This would be the great time, at least a good time, great time, whatever, man. I don't know what I'm saying. It would have been a really nice time for them to show this off to let us see what we were getting. But as it stands right now, man, these guys don't even have anything planned. And I know Elder Scroll was another game that people were looking forward to. And Bethesda, they've been at E3 for a few years now. It's something that I've grown accustomed to watching. I'm not saying that I enjoy every single one of their E3s, but they're always, pretty entertaining for the most part. I get laughs out of them, see some great games, and, I look forward to seeing them. But as it stands right now, we'll have to see what's going on. They said that they are looking forward to telling us more in the coming months. So hopefully in the coming months, they'll give us more information about the situation at hand with their games and, what they're working on for next generation. But, I want to move on into, now this is going to be another touchy subject. Oh man. People thought I was baiting last week. I knew it was going to happen. I just knew it. Now that I truly knew. That's why I kept saying I'm not asking this question to start a console war or anything like that. It was truly an honest question. God, though, some people was like, man, you're lame, you're trolling, this, that, and the third. I'm like, man, I'll take it. I mean, look, I put myself out there. I'll take the abuse. It's fine. But I gotta talk about PlayStation 5 again. It is gonna be touchy. I know it, but I got to talk about it because I want to know what y'all think about this. So, this is speculation. Now, I do want to put that out there. This is not concrete. This is all speculatory, if I said that right. Speculatory. Now, okay. It's an inside source, right? It's a lot of speculation about the PlayStation 5 coming from a inside source. Well, I want to say again, a so-called inside source who is a editor. Now, this is going to have some red flags along the way. I want you guys to know this. That's why I'm saying I don't know. But this guy actually is a editor at Windows Central. You go ahead and let that just sink in, marinate a little bit. Now, this guy's name is Daniel Rubino, who is saying that we should expect the PlayStation 5 to be delayed and that the console will have, quote, heating problems to rival the Xbox 360. God dang. He said that joker going red. Ring out this mother lover. Now, he went on to say that the hardware is failing at an alarming rate and the console can't, quote, maintain its clocks. That is interesting. We'll talk about it in a minute. The report continues and said that Sony allegedly needs to redesign the console, but they don't want to copy the tower design of the Series X. Now, Jason Schreier, oh man, he threw his cape on, brother. Dun, 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 dun. Brother had to come out like goddamn Superman out this mother. Now, he said that he found out about these claims and said, and I quote, the person making these claims has a long history of tweeting about how PlayStation is doomed. End of quote. Now, this is not a whole lot to take in. I don't want to blow this out of proportion. You know how some people read a story and be like, whoa, guys, can you believe it? This is just amazing. It's not that big of a deal. First off, if a person, well, don't get me wrong. It could be a big deal if this is true. But if you were to ask me, do I think that the PlayStation 5 is going to be overheating? I would, you know what, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, brothers, I don't know. I would say, my gut would tell me no. But when Mark Cerny was talking about, having that joint be overclocked, I'm thinking to myself, man, this guy, he brought that up. He said that it's failing at an alarming rate and the console can't maintain its clocks. That, I don't know, man, because we know that I think it was the thermal paste and the 360, that joint was just getting tore up, and it was just making the joint red ring. And with them not going with and this is once again, if this is true, this is all speculation, but if it is a situation where Sony doesn't want to go with a tower design where they could be looked at as copying Microsoft, and they can't get that heat out of there, because we can't. I'm not going to shortchange the PlayStation 5. It's still a very powerful console. At the 10.2 or 3 teraflops that it has, that's very powerful. And, it was said that it's actually it was originally 9.2, but since it's being overclocked, it's able to reach that. I mean, man, it does make you wonder. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's interesting, and it's something we definitely should keep our eye on. Other people came out about this report and were saying this is why Sony isn't showing off the console, because they don't have a final design for it because of this problem. I'm not going to say it can't happen. I just don't think that a console, once again, as Vaughn was saying, perception. Think about that for 1 minute. When the Xbox 360 came out, social media was still not quite there. I'm not going to say it was in its infancy, but it wasn't anywhere near where it is now. If word could you imagine if the 360 existed today, how much Xbox is getting, they getting whipped over the head daily for not having games. Can you imagine the console failing? How bad of a PR nightmare that would be. If that was to happen, perception that the PlayStation 5, it wouldn't be called a red ring, but essentially red rings, it overheats, and you got to keep on replacing it. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That could be a major problem. It is no way that would ever fly today, because people just want to complain over anything anyway. To have a legit complaint, and this system starts to overheat, oh my gosh, PR nightmare. That's something that can cripple the heck out of a company. And sometimes I wouldn't say that Sony wouldn't be able to come back from it, because as it stands right now, this is all hearsay. He said he thinks this is not proven. So we'll have to wait and see. Feel like I harped on this a little too long, but that perception, if this is true, man, that could be tough. That could be a real hard thing to conquer. But let me go ahead and move on. Good grief. Now, let's move on into another quick story. Dag, Sony, I don't want to believe that's true. I don't. I really don't. But and another quick news story. Microsoft, on the Microsoft Store, you can buy a Xbox One Xbox One X bundle that includes Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order Deluxe Edition. You'll get 1 month trial of Xbox Game Pass for console and Xbox Live Gold, and 1 month of EA Access. Now, the price point that they are asking, for this console is $299. That's a steal, man. Even though I'm going to buy a Series X, for $299, I'm like darn near tempted to buy this bundle. $300, that's a good deal, man. I believe PlayStation, I didn't write this down, because PlayStation had the same deal. They had Horizon Zero Dawn, I think, with The Last of Us, and one other game, and that was $299, but that joint sold out. Some of these Xbox Series X's have sold out. I think the Gears custom console sold out. The 2K Hyperspace console sold out, but the regular 2K bundle is available, and the Forza Horizon 4 bundle is available as well. So if you're in the market, maybe to get the kids one, get yourself one for another room or something, $299. And I believe this deal, don't quote me on it, but I think it ends April 17th. So just go over to the Microsoft Store online. That's where I saw it. And, go ahead and get yourself one. Now, in more quick news, it looks like E3 2021 is set to start June 15th through the 17th. Now, the ESA is saying that the event will be reimagined. Almost want to use SpongeBob's voice, imagination. Even though it has nothing to reimagine, and imagination don't have anything to do with each other. Anyway, goddamn. Anyway, brothers. They're talking about reimagine. I don't know why the heck I even... man. So, 2021, June 15th through the 17th. I wonder what the reimagine means, though. Once again, I'm going to say it again, brothers and sisters. Digital. Give me a digital E3 pass. Let me get my hands on some of these demos. Digital, man. Give me the digital pass. I'll pay you $50. Maybe shoot, man. If you talking about some real demos, man, I'll pay you $75, $80 for the pass for the couple days. Play a couple of demos that I really wanted to get my hands on. We'll have to see though. Reimagine, man. Already the ESA jumping out there saying, look, don't think this is gonna be a habit. We coming back next year. And maybe this is what the ESA needed. Maybe they needed this year off, reevaluate some things, talk some things over, try to make the show better. I know that people that actually have to cover the event for, their job or, other podcasters that get a chance to get out there to cover the event, where they said that their problem with it now is they're letting the public in, and the public is really interrupting their job and interrupting them getting from point A to point B, and they're running late for their interviews. And that was one thing that a lot of journalists and people that work in the industry were complaining about. So we'll see what happens, man. Like I said, man, you do a digital joint and you ain't got to worry about the foot traffic. People that actually have to cover it, they get the chance to do it, and everybody wins. But let's go ahead and move into the next story. Now, for people that have been fiending for EA Skate to Tony Hawk skateboarding, you guys are in somewhat of luck, because come this July, Skater XL will be releasing on PC, Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Now, you will be able to skate as Tom Asta. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know these brothers. I'm going to just read off the names, though. Tom Asta, Tioga Lemos, Evan Smith, and Brandon Westgate. Or you can create your own skater. Now, you will have direct control of the feet and board at all times, meaning you can create, combine, and style tricks. I guess similar to like Skate, man. Skate was dope. I did enjoy Skate. Pretty good game. Now, in the trailer, it did show off downtown LA's map, which includes the LA Convention Center and Staples Center. I can't remember since Skate when there's been another skateboarding game that people have been clamoring for. Now, I will say, when I saw this game, I think we all saw it back at the Microsoft E3 in their E3 trailers. What was that, back last year? I think it was. We saw it. Might have been a year before. It looked pretty good. Everybody thought it was Skate, but, of course it's not. When I looked at it closer, though, I'm like, I don't know if this is a budget title or if this is a AAA title. It didn't quite give me, and I could just be seeing it wrong, it didn't quite give me a AAA vibe, but it could be there. But nonetheless, to get your skateboarding fix, this game will be releasing, like I said, in what, June? Did I say June? I forgot that quick. July. July Skater X. It will be releasing. So let's go ahead and get into some. Now, this is some very strange news that I don't even think anybody saw this coming, or even was asking for it. But Korea's Game Rating and Administration Committee has outed Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, releasing for unknown platforms. I don't even know where the frick this came from. But that's not the only one. The Entertainment Software Rating Board has confirmed the existence of Saints Row the Third Remastered for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC with a release date of May 7th, 2020, appearing on GameFly's website. Now, I'm saying to myself, these two games are interesting. One, Mafia 2, brother, I said, wow. Wow. I don't know if anybody was asking. Like I said before, was anybody there sitting at home saying, man, I need this remaster of Mafia 2. I gotta get back into that game and see how beautiful it looks. I don't know. But god dang, man, Korea's game rating and administration seems to feel Mafia 2 is real. Now, once again, it doesn't have any platforms attached to it. But, man, Saints Row the Third, that one right there. Now, that's even more strange to me because I believe that it might have been Saints Row 4. I think that came on to the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. But once again, I would love to see another new Saints Row game. I was a huge fan of 3 and 4. I didn't play 1 and 2 because they just look like knockoffs of Grand Theft Auto. So I was like, nah, I don't want to really mess with them. But when they carved out their own niche with Saints Row 3 and just made it more comedic and more humorous and didn't take itself seriously, hitting people with with that bat. Y'all know that doggone purple bat that Joker was hitting people with. I mean, it was like, man, this is just so over the top ridiculousness that I love it. So when they actually, put their own niche on it, I was like, man, this game is freaking amazing. It's awesome. But I can't say that I was sitting here looking for Saints Row the Third remastered. But I don't know, man. We'll have to see. Let alone May 7th. That means these jokers was working. Matter of fact, about a year ago, quite a few months ago, I believe they were talking about that they were doing something and they were going to talk about it at a later date. Now, we're talking about months later. This could have possibly been what Volition was working on, but we'll see, man. Anyway, let's go ahead and, yeah, man, let's get into, good grief, the biggest story this week. It is definitely without a doubt The Last of Us Part 2 being delayed indefinitely. Now, many people have wondered why won't they just release it digitally for now, and people who want the physical copy can wait and get it when it's available. Well, Neil Druckmann said the team is considering, quote, all sorts of options, including an all-digital early release. Now, the team this is still part of the quote, the team very much wants to get the game released as soon as possible, end of quote. Now, Druckmann also said that it's not just a matter of retail logistics holding The Last of Us Part 2 back, but he said that the PlayStation team is also asking, quote, is the internet infrastructure there to support all countries, end of quote. And that's because many regions, I mean, you guys might know PlayStation. I can understand that because PlayStation had pulling back the throttle on their download speeds and all of that stuff. Many regions are, having this problem, and service providers, they're running on emergency protocol to ensure services don't go down during the crisis. So a all-digital launch might not be realistic at this time, which is crazy because digital is always there. But because of the infrastructure, because of how things are working right now, it just probably would not even be feasible. Now, Neil also continues to say that the game is nearly finished and said, I quote, here's the quote, that's the frustrating part for us. The game is there and we have to sit on it for a little bit and figure out what the best way is to get it to our fans. End of quote. This is definitely a tough spot to be in because according to Neil Druckmann, it seems like the game is done. I know in one of his tweets, he was talking about that they were working on the last few bugs, but everything was looking smooth. It was looking good. So this definitely has to be frustrating. These guys have been going through crunch. People haven't been able to see their families on a regular basis. And then you get to the finish line and all of a sudden it's like, hold on, you can't cross over the line yet because we have this situation at hand. I mean, the one good thing here is that the game is done. It looks like Neil Druckmann is saying, look, pretty much it's finished. That's why we're frustrated. We have the game, but we can't even share the game because of the situation that we're dealing with right now. So, I mean, look, like they said, people were getting upset saying, man, forget the physical copies. Give me my digital. I couldn't give a darn about people getting book bags and collector's editions and stuff. And I get it. I do understand. But for Sony, it's business. They want to make sure that they're able to reach as many people as possible. And though a lot of people are on board with digital and don't mind not having the physical disc, unfortunately, internet is not the same everywhere. It is just not comparable. In some rural parts of the country, I mean, it's tough, you know, and the last thing that Sony wants to do is have a game kind of, in a sense, partially, you know, released, because not everybody is going to buy it digitally. Not everybody is going to have the real option to buy it digitally because of their infrastructure of their internet. So it's understandable. Looks like Neil, he really wants to release it, but like I said, you know, the infrastructure right now is, it's, you know, we're in different uncharted waters, I guess, as it were. So we'll have to see what happens with this. And along with this news, if this wasn't bad enough, I mean, this probably isn't going to sting a lot of people, set the world on fire like, oh my gosh, not another one. But Iron Man VR was also delayed without a new release date. Now, it was set to release on May 14th. Now, I was saying just a few weeks ago that PlayStation had the biggest lineup in 3 months that I had ever seen. And right now, it looks like that thing is becoming unraveled rather quickly. Final Fantasy VII, it etched its way out there. It just beat it by a little bit. Square Enix did say that it's going to be available digitally. Doesn't look like they're holding back. They did say, once again, the physical copies, though, they might not be in stock as much, but they are going to have it there 100% digitally. Then the last big game, I would say, we got to figure out, is it going to be delayed, is Ghost of Tsushima. It's going to be interesting. But anyway, yeah, that's what Neil Druckmann had to say about it. Had to keep an eye on it, keep a pulse on it, and see what happens, man. But earlier this week, though, just moving into the next story. Earlier this week, Phil, like I was talking about earlier, he had an interview with IGN where they discussed, you know, a ton of things, you know, price, you know, software, you know, the lessons that Phil Spencer learned. But one of the things that stuck out to me, which I was talking about earlier, was their relationship with Nintendo. And I actually wanted to just play a clip of that from the IGN interview just to have you guys hear it. So let's go ahead. Let's get to the clip.
The relationship with Nintendo is great. You know, Doug Bowser and I, we talk often. Furukawa-san, the CEO of Nintendo, and I know each other well, and we have conversations. I will say that I think the individual IP by IP to different platforms, I can see can kind of get confusing to customers over time. You know, we've been learning. Some of these have been, some of our development partners have really wanted to go do this, and we want to support the desires of our creative talent. So some of this has been partner-led. But I think more and more about what does a full Xbox experience mean on different platforms, so that because right now it seems like when any game comes out, is this one going here? Is this one going there? And I'd rather be able to set more of an Xbox level expectation for our fans on where things are going to go. I thought we did that with our first party when we talked about games shipping on Xbox and PC. And I got some blowback from certain people and certain groups on that, but at least we set an expectation on that. And I'd rather see us get to that point on the different pieces of hardware that we're on. So I guess I'll kind of leave it there. I definitely have a ton of respect for the role that Nintendo plays, and I love having great games on their platform. But I also I don't really love this idea that for every one of our games there becomes this little rumor on is it going to end up on the Switch or not. And I feel like we should set a better expectation with our fans than that.
So in this clip we heard Phil, he talked about some of one interesting thing that Phil did say was he said some of their partners or their studios wanted to put their games on the Nintendo platform. He said it right there in the interview that, they wanted to support their partners. They didn't want to go against them. They wanted to give them their support. And this was something that they wanted to do. Another thing that Phil Spencer said, which is crazy. Phil's a nice guy. That's all I can say about that. But the other thing he did say was he didn't love this idea that rumors start about if a game is coming to the Switch or not, and that they need to set a better expectation for their Xbox fans. So as I was, kind of taking this all in, he said a few other things saying that, they were telling us, that the games are going to be on the other platform, the PC and Xbox. So they set that precedent. But he was saying once again how he didn't like that rumors and things would start about games that are on the Xbox going over to the Switch. Now, we do know, as I talked about earlier, that Obsidian's game is going over to the Switch right now. But could this possibly mean that Phil is going to take it a little more easy on actually moving their games, continuing to have their games over on the Nintendo Switch platform? Because, honestly, even in the interview, when Ryan McCaffrey was talking about the different games, good grief, you go back and you look, Ori and the Blind Forest, you had Cuphead, and then they even got Banjo-Kazooie and Mario Smash Brothers. What has Nintendo given to Microsoft? Nothing. Well, then again, I guess maybe it could be for the money. That's always what it comes down to. So, Phil saying he wants to set a different precedent. I don't know if he's going to. He's mad about, rumors and stuff. But maybe Phil is starting to get hip to the fact that you can't keep releasing software on other platforms and expect for people to be like, well, I'm still going to rock with your platform. If I can get it somewhere else and I have that console, then what do I need your platform for? So, it'll be interesting in the upcoming months and years with this next generation to see how Phil actually tackles this situation about their games being on other platforms. But I do want to go ahead and move into just another Microsoft story. This is a quick one. This won't take long either. But a new Inside Xbox. I had to move to the page. It's going to be a new Inside Xbox. It's going to be airing tomorrow on April 7th at 5 p.m. Probably by the time you hear this, it's going to be Tuesday. But it's going to start at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, before you ask, about them having new information about the Series X, they actually will not have any new information. However, they will be featuring updates about Sea of Thieves, Grounded, Gears Tactics, and, quote, some surprises, end of quote. Now, even though they won't be revealing anything from the Series X, the director of program management for the console, whose name is Jason Ronald, will be talking about the recently revealed specs and, quote, what they mean for gamers, end of quote. So tomorrow, I know these Inside Xboxes have not been so great lately, But Microsoft has been on a winning streak when it comes down to their information that they've been giving us. And I do respect the fact that they're continuing to have that drip feed of information continue to come out and not rest on their laurels. So maybe tomorrow it'll be a great show. We'll see some more of Gear Tactics, which I do want to play, but unfortunately it's on PC. It's not on the doggone Xbox. And that can be frustrating. As an Xbox owner, all of these other games going to these other platforms, and you're sitting there and you're like, dag, what about me, Phil? What about me? I mean, I'm in the ecosystem. I'm important. I mean, good grief, I spent my money, but yet on the PC, they don't have to pay for Xbox Live, and they get games that the Xbox brand does not get. That is so frustrating to me as a fan. And I feel like, good grief, man, I'm not appreciated. God dog it, I feel that way sometimes. And for people to say, oh, it's a tactics game, it's a game for PC, forget all that, man. It's a Gears game. Gears was on the 360 back in the day before it came to PC. I want the god daggone option. If PC got the option and we all one ecosystem, then god dag it, let me have the option to buy the game on a platform I want to play it on that's in your ecosystem. God dag it, Phil. Man, brother, I sure hope, man, I'm starting to become a somewhat fan of Phil again, but, man, I still, like I said, I remain very, very, skeptical about this character. I don't know about him, but we will see. I do have faith that he'll turn it around. We'll get some great games, but anyway, tomorrow, Inside Xbox. Man, that is it. That is the end of the gaming news this week. Man, I just that just really hit my nerve right there, brothers. But before we get out of here, I know you saw the question when you clicked on it, man, and I'm going to ask you officially. So this week, I want to know, in your opinion, what game will get delayed next? Because it seems like everything is getting delayed. Consoles could be getting delayed. Doggone Last of Us 2 is delayed. Minecraft is delayed. Iron Man VR is delayed. I mean, the list just keeps on going. Other games, they got pushed back, from their actual release date to a later release date. I mean, good grief, we got Ghost of Tsushima, like I talked about just a few minutes ago. Man, I don't know, brothers. That might be the one on the chopping block next. That 3-month run, that amazing 3-month run that Sony had set up, like I said, brothers, it has been dismantled. Unfortunately, all 3 of those games, I was highly anticipating. I mean, at least we got one in Final Fantasy VII, which once again, I want to tell you guys, is getting great reviews. People absolutely have been loving it. So we do have that as a bit of a saving grace. But for you, the listener out there, if you want to be a part of this part or section of the podcast and tell me what you feel about this, you can do that 2 different ways by interacting with the show. You can either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard, or you can reach out to the show by email. And the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I gotta say, I had a ball with y'all this week. It's been fantastic, and I look forward to doing it again next week. But before we get out of here officially, always remember, guys, it is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So with that being said, until next week when we do it again, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.